Welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. I am Rachel.
And I'm Heather.
We bring you the good,
The badass.
and the crime.
This is Like Mother, Like Murder.
Hey, everybody. Hello. Hi. Hi, Spencer's dad. Hi, Scott. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Frankie. Hey,
Glad
hey.
to see so many people tuning in for our wonderful live.
Hi, Heidi.
To celebrate 2 years. Hey, Heidi girl.
Yes. Hello, hello.
Y'all, this is gonna be awesome.
Oh, it is. It is going to be awesome. It's exciting. 2 years. I feel like we just did our 1 year
I know.
the other day.
It's crazy, man.
Love your face. Love your face too, Frankie.
Aw, love you. Well, okay, so just thank you, Frankie. Perfect segue, because for anyone who cannot stay the whole time, who maybe needs to like log off, log back in, whatever, we will be posting this tomorrow on wherever you get your podcast. So we'll post this audio for you all to enjoy the live, not so live. So don't worry if you can't make the whole thing.
I didn't realize that I muted myself. So I was like, oh, in the episode, it'll be there tomorrow, trying to like talk with you. And I was muted.
Yeah, no, don't mute yourself.
We're starting off real strong.
We're good. We're good.
Oh my gosh.
We know the FOMO is real. The FOMO is real.
FOMO.
So, hi everyone. Welcome to our 2 year podiversary. We have been counting down our top fave episodes.
Yes, we have.
And tonight we are going to recap our number ones, our respective number ones from the last 2 years. And I mean, we're going to have to do it quickly because we can't have like a 3-hour live.
No, yeah.
I guess we could, but
that's for another time.
Yeah.
That's for a time when we are together face to face and are not struggling with time differences and are just high on life. Oh, I'm going to be talking about the cup. I know.
Yep,
I'm all ready.
I'm repping my old school wine time because, you know, gotta do it.
That's awesome. Also, the chips and dip are coming out later, so stay tuned for that because I'm going to be getting chips and dip tonight. Be prepared. And I can't wait. Okay, I can't wait.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, 2 years. Pretty crazy. Hey, girl, hey. Do you love it as much right now as you did when you started?
It's a totally different, like, so when we first started, I had so much fun just, you know, it was just hanging out with my best friend, you know, talking about these stories, hanging out with my best friend, figuring out new things. And now it's like a totally different kind of love because not only am I still getting to hang out with my best friend, but there's so much extra stuff to love 2 years later. I mean, we've made this whole community of fellow podcasters that have all just been so supportive of our journey. And, you know, we've made, like, I feel like lifelong friends through this process. I mean, you know, CrimeCon was a few months ago now, and that's just a whole other thing to love.
That's crazy that was a few months ago. No way.
I know. I know.
That was also yesterday.
Now, yeah, it seems like such a different vibe, but so much like I still love every second. What about you?
Of course I do. I love it more. I feel like the longer we're doing it, the more I'm just like, what else can I do? What else can I do to be better? What else can I do to try to help? Or, you know, just all of the learning and everything as well has made me appreciate it more than...
For sure.
I learned a lot through that first year, but this second year, even more. So I love it. Oh, she's like,
oh, Heather's here. Hey, girl.
Where else she gonna be?
I know, right? I don't know why I'm like... know she's always got the backs best.
I was going to say, so I love that you're wearing your shirt because
I am.
When I had my computer like faced a little bit, how was it? When I first started, it was kind of like angled a little bit like this. And this, you guys, let me show you. Hold on.
Maybe, yeah.
This is when Heather and I sat down and wrote our intro to Wine Time when we first started.
Literally
so
at that table that's like right behind me right now. That's crazy. I love it. Oh, good times. So good. So
that
good.
Is
well,
the best.
Thank you all for being here. We could sit here and talk all day about how much we love podcasting and all of the good memories we've been through the last 2 years, but we have our number one cases that we want to talk to you all about. So, the last couple episodes, Rachel and I have been rock, paper, scissors. The last couple times we've both had something to talk about. We've been rock, paper, scissoring on who's going to go first.
She learned.
Rock, paper, scissors.
No, I was going to say, what are you even bringing that up for? Because you already learned that there's no point. If I lose, you go first. If I win, you go first. So I need to ease my way into being able to talk to people.
That sounds good. I
gotta eat my chips and dip first. So, but
you should eat your chips and dip while I go over this case because Lord knows this is a chips and dips case.
Let me start it off, and then I need to hear what you have in that cup over there. If you have.
But I'm being boring. That's why I was
trying to. Hiding it.
I was trying to ignore that. Yeah, I'm literally lemon watering with some fizzy water because
I have a fizzy water. That was the best I was gonna do today too, and mine's like a berry fizzy water. So, and then I have regular water because I don't do fizzy.
I was going to drink, so I was at Trader Joe's today, and they basically have, I'm thinking, it's basically kombucha, I think, because it's like fizzy, probiotic, like apple cider vinegary drink, and I was going to save it for tonight, but then I decided, well, actually I want it now because I had kind of a big lunch and my stomach was feeling unsettled, and so I needed to settle my stomach, and I had I think it's like the Trader Joe's brand, and it's just like a lemon ginger fizzy probiotic drink. So nice. It was very good. So let's just pretend I'm drinking that and we'll go on our way.
Okay, we'll pretend that it's that. My fizzy water, so I know Heidi was in here. I'm not sure if she's still in here. But I am drinking my little seltzer drink out of my Die Mad Tom cup, okay? Which, we're going to get into that. Remember in the beginning, we used to make this noise in every single episode? Why did anyone stay? Oh, you're here?
Know.
Hi.
Because we tell awesome stories like Heidi's, and that's why people stay.
I'm just like, why did anyone stay through those little like gulping sounds and ice clinking and actually hitting the mic as we would cheers? Yeah, I know. Fun stuff.
Good
All right,
stuff.
you could kick it off so that we don't go ridiculously over our time today.
I will kick this thing off. So it was hard. If you guys watched our stories this last week, you heard us say it many, many times that it was really hard to pick. First of all, it was really hard to pick just like 5 cases, and then it was really hard to like identify our number one. And I think ultimately I landed on this one because I had been hyping up doing a cult case for so long. I had been talking about it for months and months and months. And I was floating between like 2 to 3 different, cults that I wanted to do. I finally cracked down and do it. And then of course, like we recorded it and didn't release it for a couple weeks because we were trying to, make that month all about women. We finally released it. But long story short, my number one is the Love Has Won cult. And ultimately the death of their leader, Amy Carlson. So I am going to do my best to tell this case in a shorter amount of time, like I told myself I would. Our original recording of this was like over 2 hours long, but I promise everyone, don't like, we're all of a sudden gonna have like 0 watchers. I promise I'm keeping it shorter than that.
I wanted to say about yours really quick. When we were talking, so you guys, Heather came up with this idea to kind of showcase the top 5 and talk about them and do this tonight because, yes, we're going to eat chips and salsa, but we needed something else to go with it, you know? And so the main course of the evening. And we were just like, what do we do? So she comes up with this. I think it's great. And as soon as I was thinking about her number 1, I was like, I already know what it is. And it was one that, like, she literally was like, it's going to come. It's going to come. I've done a lot. It's going to come. It'll be here. I can't wait until I do it. It's going to come, you know? So once we sat down and like press record, because we don't talk beforehand, and she was like, okay, I'm going to do the cult today. And I'm just like,
I'm doing it.
I don't even know what to do right now. This is crazy.
I know.
Like, this is not real life.
It is. It's crazy. And honestly, I feel like I could have done 3-4 episodes on this because there were a lot of details that I didn't fully get into when we originally covered this. And obviously, for the sake of time tonight, I'm really just hitting the highlights as well.
Yeah. We're recapping.
But yeah, we're recapping hard, but that's okay. So our recap is going to start in Crestone, Colorado in 2021. So officers arrived to a residence with a search warrant. They had been called to this house, and a man opens the door, and they inform the man that they need to check on the child and the mother. And that's all the information they give him. And the man, he replies, okay, well, the child is sleeping, and that, quote, mother is in rest. She has rested. While searching the house, the officers find the mummified body of Amy Carlson, also known as Mother God, the leader of the Love Has Won cult.
Yeah, if that doesn't scream Momcast to you, I don't know what else does.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what else does. What I'm talking about as well.
That too. So let's backtrack a little bit. Amy Carlson, a.k.a. Mother God, a.k.a. Mother of Creation. Many people just knew her as Amy. She was born in McPherson, Kansas. Her family was not well off, but her mom, Linda, she made it work. According to Linda, when Amy was a kid, she was mischievous, but still a good student and a leader because she was the oldest. And Amy was only 7 when her parents divorced, and she had, her and her siblings, they ended up spending time with both families. Their dad did eventually get remarried, and the tension was kind of high between Amy and her stepmom. And her family would later report that there was abuse that did happen in terms of her stepmom and Amy. So not the best childhood, but despite these rough moments, she did grow up to be a beautiful, young, successful woman with a seemingly normal early adulthood. She did have babies kind of young. She did have a couple failed relationships, and she did have more than one baby daddy, but, that is honestly not out of the norm. And so, she did have a very supportive mom who helped her through all this and who she really relied on for childcare. So Grandma Linda was really stepping it up in terms of the childcare. So eventually, Amy became a manager at a McDonald's in Dallas. And according to Linda, according to Amy's mom, all of her employees loved her. I think this is the first instance where they really talk about Amy's charisma and her ability to really speak to people and get them to kind of tell them what they want to hear. And she did have goals to move up the ladder, but eventually it wasn't enough for her, as a lot of these cult leaders seem to have. It wasn't enough. And as she tells it, this is kind of what happened. She took ecstasy for the first time, And she described it as rolling in waves of love. And she began to believe that the high of the ecstasy was actual reality, and where she was in her own life, was not the reality.
I've never done ecstasy, so I can't say whether or not that.
I mean,
the accuracy on that
Maybe
one.
we're in the Matrix. I don't know. Yeah. We just heard Beyond the Shadows just did their No Fucking Way volume whatever, 6 or whatever, about the guy who had the salvia trip and lived a whole nother life for 8 years. So
that was wild.
I mean...
Shout out Scott since he's in here. Right.
I know, Scott, right? So... But around the same time, Amy's sister and Amy's mom, they explained that they could see that Amy was just searching for something else. She was searching for something more spiritual. She was talking a lot about energies and angels. And by 2006, she posted something on a kind of like a website, kind of like a blog page. And her quote and what she said was, "My current life situation is living in a world of illusion." So there you kind of have an idea of where her mind's at and just kind of what she's feeling. So she was a big part of this online community where, she kind of posted this stuff of how she was feeling. It was a spiritual online community. It's called lightworkers.org. And while she was posting on there, she started talking to a guy named Amaranth. And that's not his real name. But when I
forgot about the names in this story.
They're all
Why does that just sound like a name you say backwards?
It was funny too, because I was talking to Zach about this. He's like, Amaranth, and I was like, yeah. He's like, how do you spell it? And I told him how to spell it, and he was like, where's that from? I was like, I don't know. If you ask this guy, he'd probably say, oh, it's divine. I don't know.
It's the Isle of Ecstasy.
Yeah, seriously. Because when him and Amy started talking to each other, he was kind of, I think, the first one to really, get it into her head. And he told her, you're divine. And, this is the way of the world. And so it wasn't long before their online lightworkers.org spiritual chit-chatting, it shifted to IRL. They met up in real life, and in 2007, they began living a life together in Crestone. So how did she go from Dallas to Crestone? Well, according to Linda, according to her mom, she remembers the day that Amy left. They were at a birthday dinner at a restaurant, and Amy just gets up and walks out. And when they got home, all of her stuff was gone. They thought she was going to come back, but she never did. And that was the day she left her family. She would never return. She left 3 kids with Grandma Linda, who stepped up big time, and just moved to Colorado with Amaranth.
Makes me so sad.
Yeah, it really
we don't recommend that.
No, it sucks for the kids, too, because it's, they were old enough to kind of understand what was going on. Okay, my mom's gone, but it's just how do you explain that, right, to your kids? So anyway, when her and Amaranth shack up together in Crestone, Colorado, they start this kind of online... back in the day, I guess it would be just kind of like a blog website thing, and they called it the Galactic Free Press. And this is where she first really started calling herself the Mother God. So Amy was the Mother God, Amaranth was the Father God, and she was posting tons and tons and tons of videos with her messages about the world and what people needed to do and all of her different conspiracy theories and answers to her conspiracy theories. And she had a decent sized following with her messages, and one of her early followers was this guy named Miguel Lamboy. So he first connected with Amy in these chat rooms, and he eventually would move from Brooklyn, where he was a computer finance guy. He moved from Brooklyn out to Colorado, just left his life in New York, moved out to Colorado to be with Amy in 2014. And a big part of this, I think, is because he believed that Amy had cured him from cancer. Don't know how, don't know any of those details, but he moved, and I am not sure if he was ever actually technically Father God, but he is definitely a major player in all this. So remember the name Miguel Lamboy. When he joins up with Amy, he's also known as Michael Silver, Archangel Michael. He has many names, but ultimately, it was a good thing that he showed up for Amy because he was pretty good with money, and he knew how to kind of, make money in order to fund their lives. But when he shows up, pretty much the two of them, they move from Colorado to California. They peace out. They leave Amaranth, the first Father God. They're like, see ya.
Bye. Yeah.
Bye. And they take off to Colorado. Or, I'm sorry, from Colorado to California. And then it wasn't too long after they were in California that another young man would come into the picture. And basically, so this guy's name was Andrew. He came across Amy online. He was really interested in all her answers to all these conspiracies that he had questions about. And he says what happened is he started dreaming about her every night. And he was chatting with her, and she said, "Oh, I'm dreaming about you too every night." And she eventually convinced him, just like, come out to California. And he got out there, and he became the next Father God. So remember, there was
one
Amaranth
after another.
Yeah, one after another. There was Amaranth. She left him. I don't know if Miguel was ever actually deemed like Father God, or if he just kept that like Archangel Michael persona. But Andrew was the next Father God. But like you said, one after another, it wasn't forever. He did eventually leave Amy and the group. But before he left, he had some really lasting impacts. So first, he was a really big part of the reason that she kind of rebranded and the group became Love Has Won. Like, he kind of helped brainstorm that idea. And he was also really good with websites and social media and marketing, and he really streamlined their online presence. And so with his, skills in like kind of that social media world, and then Michael being pretty good with money, they really started to get an influx of cash. So what they were doing is they would charge for spiritual sessions with Amy. Thank you, Heather. Yes, he left because he seen they were batshit cry.
What just popped up that you saw?
Heather did a comment.
That made me laugh. I can't see him.
It might just be a delay or something, but yes, Heather is right. I think he saw the truth. But so before he left, though, they did start making some money. They would charge for spiritual sessions with Amy, and then they would also receive donations. And money was pretty important at this time to the group because they had a pretty significant drug habit. Andrew, in the documentary on HBO, which is where I got a lot of my information, this documentary on HBO, Andrew said you were high from like basically when you woke up to when you went to sleep. And that's a lot of drugs, people.
Yeah,
so,
that's expensive. Heather and I were talking earlier about grocery shopping and comparing the numbers on that. So yeah, I can imagine if we were grocery shopping for drugs.
Can't imagine. No, I can't.
So thankful I can't imagine.
Yeah. But Heather is right. So Andrew was never 100% sold on the idea. He talked to Amy about it a lot, and he said that sometimes she would actually admit that, oh, maybe all this isn't true. Maybe I'm not Mother God, all of this. But then what would happen was Archangel Michael would step in. The inflation is killing drug prices. How do you know, Scott? Scott just said inflation is killing drug prices. So basically what would happen is, like, as soon as Amy would start second guessing her title as Mother God, Michael would step in and be like, no, love is one is the real thing. You are the mother god. You're going to save all of humanity. Na, 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 na. And eventually, Amy and Michael told Andrew, like, ship up or shape out, man. Like, you got to get on board with the program. And he basically was like, peace. Okay, I'm not doing this. And probably good for him. So he did leave the group. And then more people began to join the group, and they invited several people to kind of come live with them full time. And so during this initial gathering, they were still in Mount Shasta, California. They had found this house, this like kind of like cabiny house up in the woods, and people are literally just like knocking on the door of this house, showing up, coming in. It was like a house party, and they have footage of all of this. They have footage of all of this because they were recording all of it. They were live streaming all of it. And so what you see in this footage is literally people showing up. Hey man, how are you? Hugs, kisses, all the stuff. And then people just start, drinking, smoking, other drugs. Everyone's meeting Amy and just, oh, the mother god and love and na. And lots of, like I said, lots of drugs, lots of drinking. They believe that drugs were tools of joy. So that's why, and I mean, they're not wrong. Like,
they might be wrong.
There's a little bit of a limit there.
What are you talking about? Go on a hike.
I mean, he doesn't like,
go ride
like a glass of wine.
Oh my gosh.
That's a tool of joy, a nice little glass of wine.
Drink your water.
So they've got all these people now, like probably like at least a dozen people, all in this house, all doing drugs and drinking. How are they buying all this stuff? Well, people were showing up to this house and literally emptying their bank accounts, cashing out retirement accounts, and handing it straight over to Amy. Technically, they were handing it over to Michael because he was the one in charge of all the money, but like it was going directly to the cult. So there was a lot of different people showing up at this time. There was like law school graduates, like really smart people, educated. There was some moms there with young kids. And there was actually a former military member named John Henry. Apparently, John Henry had some father energies because he very quickly became the next father god. So remember, there was Amarith. They left his ass in Colorado. There was Andrew, who said, y'all crazy, I'm leaving. And now there is John Henry. So he is now the father god. The group is doing what they do. They're holed up in this cabin. They're live streaming stuff every day. They're posting all of their stuff. They're, getting in these circles and just talking about the world.
Everything you just said, are we a cult? Like, everything you just said, I'm like, that's us. That's us. That's us. That's also us. That's us. The community, the circle, that's us.
Here's where we might be able to, like, separate ourselves a little bit.
Thank you. Yeah, tell me about that.
Their beliefs were strong. Mm-hmm. And one of their strongest beliefs was that Amy Carlson, the mother god, in past lives was Marilyn Monroe, Cleopatra, Joan of Arc, all of these like historically powerful princesses, women, all of that. The other thing that sets us apart from this is they believed that Amy had a galactic A-team. This is what they called it, a galactic A-team with a bunch of famous people who basically were like her spiritual advisors. So this galactic A-team, Robin Williams, main galactic member with a lot of messages for Amy, Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, Tupac. Most of the people on her galactic A-team were deceased. Some of them were not, like Trump was on her galactic A-team. Who I
forgot about that one.
Yeah, I think she said that Trump, in a past life, Trump was her dad or her son. Maybe Elvis was the dad and Trump was the son.
It was something like that, for sure.
Something like that. So, that they had some really strong beliefs about this. Their other strong belief was colloidal silver. So I will get into this. Basically, the another way that this group liked to make their money was they had a lot of products that they would push online. Like, they would sell crystals, they would sell paintings, they would sell sage, they would sell, like therapeutic oil. They would sell letters from the one, the only Robin Williams Galactic A-Team member.
Yeah, sure they did.
And they would also sell the colloidal silver, which they believed was a cure-all for everything. So just a little bit about colloidal silver here. I am not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. But Love Has Won believed that the pharmaceutical companies banned colloidal silver because they're big pharma and they want people to stay sick so that they can make money off of, pharmaceuticals and blah, blah, blah. But that colloidal silver was a cure-all for anything, okay? There was also this thing that went around during COVID saying that colloidal silver could prevent you from getting COVID, that it could, cure the virus.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that said they did that.
There was a lot of drink bleach. Yeah, there was a lot of things that went around during COVID. But basically, the group believed in the healing powers of colloidal silver. Now, like I said, I am not a medical professional, but I have done a little bit of research on this. There is some evidence that colloidal silver, or silver when applied to the skin for a burn or a cut, that there are some healing properties of silver when applied topically. Drinking silver, so drinking the colloidal silver, which is what this group said you should do because it's a cure-all, there is no known health benefits. Yes, silver germ for wound care, exactly. For your skin, it works good. Drinking it, you're literally ingesting metal, so I'm not sure. Again, I'm not a health professional, but I would probably say no, don't do that. So anyway, this group, they're pushing their products, their colloidal silver. They're talking about, their beliefs. They're posting all of this online. This group had a huge online presence. I mean, this is a cult in the time where social media was huge, right? So they're live streaming everything. Everything's going well. They're all still doing their tools of joy. And one day, the Father God, right, John Henry, he is using his tools of joy. He has a psychedelic experience, which apparently told him that somewhere out there's another Father God. And this opened the door for Jason Castillo. Jason Castillo joins the group in 2018. Now, he is no Boy Scout. He does, according to, some people from the documentary, he did have a record, property crime, child neglect, these kinds of things. He was definitely not a stand-up citizen. And it didn't take long once Jason Castillo got into the group before he was named, not Father God, get this, Jason Castillo was named Father of All Creation, and John Henry, the previous Father God, was now Father of the Multiverse. So here we go. That's all of these names.
All of it is just getting more wild.
Well, now I
don't think I remembered how many there was.
There's a lot, yeah. But it's going to go from wild to worse because Jason Castillo really shook things up.
Yeah.
The group was not happy with his father vibes. Like, they were not okay. They were having some daddy issues, basically. They said that he had too much of a masculine energy, that he was too aggressive and he was too violent, and his addiction to meth was overshadowing the love has one cause. Him and Amy, they would fight a lot. They just didn't like it. So what her followers believed, and what Amy also got on board with, was they needed to move Amy away. They needed to take the mother god away from Jason Castillo, away from Father of the Universe, or of all creation, or whatever he was, and get her away from him so she could continue on this journey of saving the world, which is what she was tasked with doing as Mother God. So the same year that Jason joined the group, what happened is half the followers, not half, a small group of them, they went with Amy and they went to Oregon. And then the rest of the group went back to Crestone, where kind of all this started, where Amy was with, Amaranth at the beginning. And they left Jason Castillo. They left Father of all creation behind. And they basically did if it's meant to be, it'll happen, peace out, see if you can find us type of thing. And he did, though, in less than a month. He somehow tracked them down and where they had traveled to in Oregon. And so when he found them again, there's literally footage of him finding them again. And then this is when they decide, okay, let's get engaged. You found, the Father of all creation and the Mother God, got back together. They're engaged now. This is meant to be. And so this the Mother God, Amy and Jason and Father whatever, they get to this little house in Oregon, but they don't stay there very long because one of the members was burning sage and set the house on fire. So if you guys are gonna sage, which great, just be safe. Be safe with your sage, people. There's sage safety. Let's follow it. Sage end up leaving sage safety. So they end up leaving Oregon and they head back to Crestone, and they end up meeting up with all the rest of the group that's now in Crestone, Colorado. So while they're in Crestone, they really start to buckle down. They're live streaming every day. They're gaining tons of followers. They're getting donations, and they are, talking about their lifestyle, talking about the Mother God and what she's going to do for all of humanity. And they're turning a profit. They're making pretty decent money. I mean, enough so that they can afford hot tubs and go-karts and, all the things that the Mother God would need. Apparently, though, one of the things that the Mother God and her followers thought that they did not need was food. So they started to believe that the basic human necessity of eating and sleeping would interfere with their vibrations. So they all go on a super strict diet, including Amy, who was meticulously tracking her weight. And they were meticulously tracking her weight because they believed that if Amy was to ascend as a Mother God, she needed to be a certain weight. So this probably didn't have everything to do with the cult, because Amy's sister and mom said she did have some disordered eating as a teenager. I mean, if you were a teenager in the 80s and 90s, you most likely had a few stints with some kind of disordered eating as a female, because, I mean, welcome to society. But so Amy was tracking her weight meticulously. She felt like the group believed she had to be a certain weight in order to ascend. So not only is now she's not having a good diet, but she's also doing drugs, drinking excessively. And during these drinking bouts, basically they believed that when Amy was drinking, remember, this was a tool, So when Amy was drinking, it would allow the other beings and the spirits like Robin Williams or Tupac or whoever to flow through her in order to give messages to the group and to humanity while she was drinking. And so what was interesting about this is she was very clearly like volatile and angry a lot of times when she was drinking, but what the group would say is that, oh no, that's not Amy, that's not our mother god, that's one of the spirits that's flowing through her, and they're mad at us because we're not doing enough to help humanity. So this group, they started at this, small gathering of people just talking about love and peace and pushing their beliefs and their products to fund their lifestyle and support Amy. And eventually this really morphed into this collection of hardcore followers with just extremely unhealthy beliefs and a volatile leader. AKA, this was a fucking cult.
Yeah.
So
call it how you see it.
So Amy's health really, really started to decline. She's not eating. She's drinking a lot. She's using a lot of drugs. She's drinking a lot of colloidal silver. And there's a lot of, obviously, like, physical effects of this. Her weight loss, obviously. Her body would break out in hives. Her organs were just failing her, right? Like, she had various pains throughout her body. Sometimes she couldn't even walk. Like, she was so weak. And they didn't think that this was due to her poor diet and drug habits and colloidal silver. No. The group believed that it was humanity's fault because Amy was taking on the burden of all humanity who wasn't acting the way they were supposed to, and it was resulting in these physical breakdowns. So they start talking about how Amy eventually needs to ascend and evacuate her body, like her physical body, so that she can join, I guess, her galactic A-team, that they're basically going to, like, beam me up Scotty and take her and, it'll help save the world and all of this stuff. So, like I said, that was their belief, and she needed to be a certain weight to get there, and they believed that colloidal silver was going to cure everything and all of these things. But she was getting so bad that at one point she did say, like, she wanted to go to the hospital. She even reached out to her own mom, who, she hadn't had regular contact with, and, she wanted to go to the hospital. She was reaching, and her followers were like, no. You wouldn't want to go. We're not going to let you go. And they basically were like, no, like, you're not going to go. And then, of course, she would flip-flop between, like, I really want to go to the hospital. No, I'm Mother God. I'm okay, whatever. But instead of going to the hospital and getting treatment, which she probably should have done, the group decides, no, what you need to do is travel. You need to go to Hawaii, because they believe that her going to Hawaii was an important part to her ascension. So they get to Hawaii in July of 2020, and Amy starts feeling a little bit better. I mean, who wouldn't? It's Hawaii.
Right.
But when she's in Hawaii, shit really hits the fan, because first what happens is she ends up having a video call with her family, and her family sees just how horrible, like, she's doing. I mean, she's super thin. She can't walk. Her skin is starting to turn blue, like pale blue from all of the colloidal silver. And basically what happens is the family reaches out to Dr. Phil, and they're like, our family member is in a cult. And so basically what happens is Dr. Phil reaches out to the Love as One group and reaches out to Amy and says, hey, come on our show. And the group's like, hell yeah, we're going to be able to spread our beliefs to the world, but not so much. So what happens is Amy shows up on the Dr. Phil. She's videoing in, because remember, this is July 2020, so COVID. She's videoing in on the Dr. Phil show. And basically it's an intervention. So her mom's there, his sister's there. Her mom pretty much confronts her and says, like, I'm worried about you. Like, I don't like, what you're doing. Like, you need to come home. And Dr. Phil, like, also says, like, straight up says, Amy, how do you explain abandoning your children? Like, blah, 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 blah. And so just kind of a shit show. Amy's family feels bad because it obviously didn't work. You know, it didn't go how they wanted it. Amy still clung tight to her belief. And now she's super pissed that her family, like, betrayed her, is how she basically feels. But at least the show probably got good ratings. I mean, you know, Dr. Phil, I'm sure, had a pretty decent rating that week. And then what happens is, not too long after she was on the Dr. Phil show, Amy makes this statement, this big announcement claiming that she is Pele, the goddess of fire and volcano. Now, this announcement really pissed people off. If you don't know anything about the relationship between Hawaiians, pretty much like native Hawaiians and people from like the mainland, there's a lot of tension. I mean, how would you feel? Like, this is understandable. Like, these people swoop in, they take all your goods, they take all your land. You have every right to be pissed. And now this fucking random white lady comes in claiming to be one of your sacred Hawaiian goddesses. Like, no. So what happens is people find out where she's staying in Hawaii, and they straight up, like, go to where she's at and, like, start yelling at her pretty much. Like, they run her ass out of town. And she ends up going back to Colorado, but things are just still not going well. Like, her health is still in decline, and every day on these live streams, her followers are talking about how she's going to ascend any day now. And they're basically saying, like, she's going to die any day. And so what happens eventually is, through these different galactic messages, they say that Amy needs to go to California while the rest of the group is in Colorado. And so they went back to Mount Shasta, and Amy at this point must have sensed that, like, her time is getting short, because at this point she does reach out to her mom and one of her daughters, and both of them said, like, come back home. But she wouldn't. Instead, she decides that she's going to go to Oregon. While she's in Oregon, she's literally in a wheelchair. She can't walk. She's rail thin. And if you see the pictures of her from this time, she's literally blue. It's pretty disturbing. Her body is just in major decline. And it's not long after she gets to Oregon. It's in April of 2021. Amy's only 45 years old. She dies. So if everything leading up to this point wasn't weird enough, the next few weeks is just, like, off the rails.
Yep, sure is.
She has died in this hotel room in Oregon, and instead of doing what a normal, rational person would do, the small group of people who are with her, they treat her almost like she's still alive. They've got her in the bed, and she's pretty much like a skeleton already. She's super emaciated just from, you know, her body just shutting down over the last couple of months. And they have her in the bed. They're giving her water. They're, of course, still giving her colloidal silver. They're saying that she's still warm and that she's still breathing. They're using an electromagnetic pulse thing, and they're saying, like, there's still, like, waves coming off of her. And they're recording all of this, which is insane and so absolutely disturbing. They're there in that hotel room with this dead body, and eventually the hotel staff, they're trying to check on the group. And so the group decides, okay, probably we need to leave now. And so what they do is they put Amy in a sleeping bag, they put sunglasses and a hat on her, and they start driving. And one thing I read said that they were actually stopped by police when they left, but they were let go. Yeah, so apparently this cop saw this woman in a sleeping bag, hat, and sunglasses and just said, be on your way. So they end up meeting up with some other members of the cult in a forest, and they literally start camping with her body because they believe that at any moment her body and her whatever is going to be picked up by the galactic starship by Robin and the gang, and she's going to ascend. So they're just out in the forest, camping in tents. So, like, Jason Castillo, the father of all creation, is literally sleeping in a tent with Amy's body.
It just blows my mind.
It's disturbing.
Yeah.
Disturbing.
Yeah.
So while this small group of followers is out in the forest waiting for ascension, Michael, the money man, is back in Colorado still, and he starts pulling everything out of the bank.
Ooh. Ooh.
So eventually the forest group, Jason is there. He catches wind of it. He sends half the team on, like, some errands, and then he takes off with Amy and, like, 2 other people, and they start driving back to Colorado. In my mind, he's doing it because he's like, we need to get some of that money, right? Because there's no ascension that happened. They still have Amy's body, but they start driving back to Colorado, basically leaving the other half of the group just stranded in the forest. When they arrive back to Colorado, they do find Michael. Michael comes to where they are, and he sees Amy's body. And then there's body cam footage of where Michael shows up to the cops, so shows up to a police station, and basically says, there's people in my house. They brought a body into my house. I didn't really give them permission to stay there, which doesn't make any sense because this group, this cult, has been on and off living on this property since like 2018. And this is like, I think it's all under Michael's name. So this brings us back to the start. This is why cops show up in the middle of the night to Crestone, Colorado, asking to see, basically have a search warrant, do a welfare check on the child and the mom. And this is where they find Amy Carlson's body wrapped up in a sleeping bag, pretty much mummified. The people in the house, they were taken in, and meanwhile, Michael, according to some members of the group, he was just sitting on like over $300K, just like took it all out of the bank.
Damn.
And ultimately, no members of the group were ever charged with Amy's death, or even tampering with a dead body, which is crazy to me because obviously they did. And the coroner's report said that anorexia, alcohol abuse, and colloidal silver all resulted in the in organ failure, which is, what was her cause of death. So Amy Carlson died, like I said. But this didn't stop a lot of the members from continuing on. So both fathers, father of the multiverse and father of all creation, they form their own little group. They still hold on to their beliefs. And then a bunch of other Love is One cult members, they moved to Vermont, and they still kept up their live streams. They're still doing all their stuff. And, they start saying, oh, yeah, Amy ascended, the mother god ascended. And when she left, she took all the pain and suffering. And, now everyone on the planet can live a better life and all of this stuff. And they have since rebranded. They're not calling themselves Love is One anymore, but they are still like a group. They have a website. They still offer like various spiritual sessions and products and stuff. And on their website, they have a section on their website called About Mom, where they talk about Amy, and they talk about how in 2021 she accomplished her mission by ascending. And they're basically saying how, in 2021, she died from organ failure. And that's it. That's what's so crazy is after all is said and done, Amy is gone. No one was held accountable. I mean, she was an adult. It's not like I don't know. You could argue that maybe they forced her to take all the colloidal silver, but ultimately, no one was held accountable for her death, and her cult lives on under a different name, but lives on nonetheless. It's crazy.
Do you know what the name is? Heather asked us what's the name.
Oh my gosh, I don't know what
forget.
the name is now. I'll have to look it up. But I
don't know why instantly I'm like
Soul
Soulfire.
Soulfire.
Too much water. Soulfire.
Yeah.
That's not it. Heather, Google it.
No. Okay, let me Google it. Let me see if I can find it.
I meant Prissy Girl, but you can Google it for her. That works too. We will call it Soulfire. We could call it whatever we want.
That's so funny. I know I found it before.
While you're Googling, I'll be right back.
Okay. Where are you going? Are you going to go get your chips and salsa?
Sure am.
Okay.
Be right back.
I found it. It's called 5dfulldisclosure.org. That
should have been descended because descended. That right there, I don't even remember it, and you just said it. That's the dumbest name I've ever heard.
5D Full Disclosure. And they have a whole section about Amy, mother of all creation, and how she came to ascend and all this stuff. And yeah.
Soulfire.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy,
you can
Heather.
take classes with them. You can take seminars with them. You can buy their ebook on Amazon.
Wild
stuff.
Wild
They have
stuff.
a podcast.
Yeah. They're going to be our next trailer swap.
Do it.
Not. Is it my turn?
It is your turn. It is your turn. I feel like I did it. When I tried to do it earlier, I was like, okay, I'm going to keep this to like 30 minutes. I'm not sure I kept it to 30 minutes, but.
No, you didn't. I'm like, here we go. Here we go. I was going to run, though. Can you tell them a joke for a moment?
You want to go get some chips and salsa?
Yeah, tell them a joke real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll tell you a joke. In 2021 in Crestone, Colorado, no, it's not a joke because someone actually died, but it is ridiculous. I feel like that she had to die in that way. I mean, yeah. So I am going to tell you a joke. Actually, my dad just sent one of his dad jokes this morning. So let me tell you about this. Did you hear about the English teacher that was sent to prison? He got a complete sentence. No? Okay, let me find another one. This is also from my dad. He sends these like dad jokes almost every day. This is his one from Wednesday. I farted in my wallet today. Now I have gas money. No? Still not good. Okay, let me find another one. You know, you really have to hand it to short people because they usually can't reach. That's actually funny. I think that's just funny because I'm short. You missed a couple dad jokes.
Oh. Well, I'll listen to the episode and hear them, and then I'll be surprised.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, you guys ready for my favorite episode? My numero uno. Gotta pull up my notes, you know? I'm a note person. I'm a note kind of gal. All right. So, my number one, Heather said it. You know, it's so hard to choose because I feel like this is one of those things where, like, depending on what you're talking about or depending on, like, where your head's at for something, like, so many of these mean so much to us. All of them mean so much to us, you know? And so making this list in the first place was hard. And I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again. Choosing this as my top one was not hard for me. So it's a two-parter because That's just who I am as a person. Heather's was a 2-parter too. So yours was as well. But let me explain. So the episodes are the murder of Loretta Jones and also the interview that we had with her daughter, Heidi Jones Asay, which Heidi's in the comments. So thank you for being here. Makes my little heart happy. So first I'm going to tell you why this is so important to me, okay? Why I chose this as my number one. And one of the reasons is it being a mom cast. You know, that's the thing about Like Mother, Like Murder. And we mainly, not only, but mainly cover cases that are mom related. And so this case is the murder of a single mother of one. And that one was her daughter, Heidi. And so she was at home when this happened. Another reason of why I chose this is because this was an unsolved case for so long. And it's solved now, but those cases just eat at me. They irk me. Like, it's constantly something that I'm thinking about. And so this one, I mean, the time that we were talking about this, it was different. But as I talk to you guys, and if you've already listened to this, you know exactly what it is. But if you haven't gotten back this far, because this is an old episode, I'll tell you just how old it is, okay? But with all of that said, the last reason that this was my number one is that we got to talk with Heidi. And we got to meet with her and record with her and get to know her. And now this entire time since, we've followed and we still have this relationship with her. And that's just, it's so important. So that is why I chose this episode. So we're going to step back for a moment and I'm going to tell you guys something because I know how much you guys love my stories. Okay. I need to tell you guys about me reaching out to Heidi. And I don't remember if I told her this story or not. So we were only about 3 episodes into our podcast. Newly wine time. 3 episodes in, and I made the choice that I wanted to talk to her. And so in my head, you know, we're these little nobodies, you know, not really, you feel me, but like as a 3-episode podcast, we're like, okay, whatever. So I wrote her. And at the time, I worked for the post office, and I was telling Heather on the phone that I did it. And as I was telling her, the little bubbles, because I'm like reading what I wrote her, right? And the little bubbles just started going that Heidi was writing back. And I'm tripping. I'm just tripping on the phone with her, you guys. All I could do was just sit there and stare at the phone for the longest time. And, you know, I was on my lunch break at the post office, I think. So it's fine. Either way, I stared and stared and stared. And then it went blank for a second. I was like, okay, she's not responding. That's okay. And then she did, you know, and we kind of scheduled the chat. We talked, and here we are. So I know so much back because I have to tell all the stories. Okay, it's fine. But one of the reasons I wanted to bring that up too is I hope that you guys all, who's here? What, 4 people I can't see? Whoever's listening to this, you really make the choice and choose to shoot your shot and like choose to put yourself out there, because what's the worst that someone can do, right? Say no, that they don't want to talk or they're not interested or whatever. Okay, that's fine. But what if they say yes, right? I'm actually still waiting for Hillary Duff to say yes as well. But that'll that'll happen in time.
Yeah, Hillary, write us back.
Right. Yep. So I just love looking back at that. That's like one of my favorite little things. Okay. But now the reason that all of this happened in the first place is sad. It's truly upsetting. It's infuriating, right? Which most of the things that we talk about, it is. And that's where I'm going to start. So trigger warning. I would like to add for anyone who is here, there's different things on Instagram or other social medias that if you say certain things, you'll get booted. So I'm going to, if you want to hear the entire episode, you want to hear the entire story, you want to hear the conversations, okay? And so go to the episodes to get all of that. This is a shortened, brief version. So I'm going to be talking about murder. There's Asay as well. Man, why do I not want to talk about this with Heidi here? Just because it always breaks my little heart. But also, I love that you're here. Okay. Loretta Jones. It is a recap, yes. Loretta Jones's life was taken July of 1970 in Price, Utah. Loretta was only 23 years old and a single mother raising her daughter in a community, one of those small towns where, everyone knew everyone. Heidi woke up that morning and went to look through the keyhole of her door to her room before going out. What she could see was a sight that would change her life forever. She went out to find her mom on the floor, lifeless. When law enforcement shows up to the house, right? They show up, they start their investigation, they start questioning, and here's a moment that when I talk about it, it breaks my heart that this case went unsolved for so many years. Heidi told the police officers and her grandparents that day that a man named Tom did it. Okay, so who is this Tom? We're going to talk about him because they actually looked into him pretty soon after the murder, but it initially didn't have anything to do with Loretta Jones at all. This man's name was Tom Egley, and he was actually arrested for attempted kidnapping at the time because the day before Loretta's murder, a little girl named Lori was almost kidnapped while she was playing outside. He was on their street where they're playing. He goes over, tries to pick her up and take her, and luckily, thankfully, she got away. She ends up running home as fast as she could, but she did get a good look at this guy. So when she was taken in to identify him, she was able to point him out immediately. And it was Tom Egley. So he's arrested, okay? They start piecing things together, and the location of the attempted kidnapping on July 30th, the murder of Loretta on the 31st, Tom Egley arrested and booked for the attempted kidnapping, and then there's 4-year-old little Heidi saying that a man named Tom killed her mom. Same night. Oh, the morning though? Okay, same night. Corrections. Thank you. Good thing I'll be reading something too. So all of this, and like I had already mentioned, Heidi said his name, right? And guess what? With all of this, they didn't have enough evidence to tie Tom to Loretta's murder. So he was free to go for the next 46 years. I'm going to transition for a moment because remember, this was a two-parter when we covered it. So we also had our interview with Heidi, and she's here to correct everything that I say wrong right now, especially with my nerves and life.
Thank you, Heidi. We got to get who better to tell their story?
We had her in.
Right?
Yeah, so without Heidi, I wonder if justice for her mama would have ever came, right? And I have already mentioned that Heidi was only 4 when she looked out that keyhole of her room to find her mom lying there. Her entire life changed, which like I said earlier, I really do encourage you guys to go listen to the full interview with her to get all of the details and hear her tell the story way better than I will ever be able to do so. And with all of that, like with the change that she had to go through with everything, as time went on, as time goes by, she was more determined than ever to find answers and get justice for her mom. So in 2009, she had something crazy happen. Heidi met Brewer. Did I already talk about Facebook? I'll talk about Facebook. So Heidi's car was stolen, and he was in the comments saying that, too bad you're not closer kind of a thing, because I am a sheriff in Carbon County, and that's where Price is. And so that's the thing that was like, oh, it's go time, right? This is the moment that I am going to get all of this taken care of. It's good though now, right? Is it
yeah,
still
you're
bad?
good. You're good.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, you're good.
I'm like,
you're
is
good.
it still bad? So she found, ultimately, and it's in a funny way that this happened, but she found Sheriff Brewer and she talked to him. She told him about the case files that she's, collected over the years, and she begged him to reopen her mom's case, the cold case. And at that moment, it was go time. So Brewer had asked Loretta's mother, Ludine, to if it would be okay if they exhumed her body, because this was back in 1970, and so the advancements of everything from 1970 to 2000, and which year was it, 2010, 2009, when I'm not sure which year they asked about the exhumation originally, but she ended up saying no. And it was not until years later, in 2016, that Ludine, at this point, she had unfortunately passed away, and now they had the ability to go and ask Heidi if she would be okay with it. And so she said, and I quote, say it with me, Heidi, "Get me a shovel and I will help dig." Because
I just got goosebumps. I love it so much. Heidi's such a badass.
Unfortunately, though, nothing came from the exhumation. And that was because of just water getting into the coffin and, damaging the site. And so, therefore, with that, everything was at this momentary standstill. And so we say this all the time, and this is one of the reasons we say this all of the time, you guys. You've heard it 1,000 times. If you see something, say something. And with that said, we're going to transition into some people who saw something and said something. Okay? And yeah, sometimes it takes years. Stop holding on to those things, come forward, and do the right thing. We're going to talk about Linda. Linda, I love you. So Linda asked if she could get in touch with Detective Brewer because she needed to show him something. And one of the evidence photos of Loretta lying on the floor, you can make out a T and an O in blood by her arm on the floor. That is just... We talked about that in the Allison Botha case, of the just how amazing people react in these fucked up situations. And the fact that she can think about this and do that right then and there is so just, it makes my brain go wild. But yeah, you can make out the T and the O on the floor in the photo. Okay, what the heck? Now we're going to talk about Marcia. Marcia was dating Tom at the time that this happened. And he was gone in the evening. And when he came back, he went and showered. And after he showers, he goes and he takes his clothes to the laundromat, which she talks about the fact that that wasn't something that he commonly did. And then after that, someone came forward saying that they lit the barrel on fire, could see it from a business afar or like across the street or whatever. But how did this not add up back then? But all of those years, things not adding up. Let's talk about Lisa Carter. She was Egley's current neighbor at the time of 2016 time. Egley went over to Lisa's house on 2 different occasions, and one time saying, listen, I'm going to read 2 quotes for you guys. One time he went over and said, "If something ever happened to me, would you take care of my dogs?" Okay. And another time said, "How long do you think DNA evidence lasts on a body?" Okay. Goodness gracious. Like, thank you, you dumbass, right? So ultimately it comes down to the fact that Lisa Carter wore a wire and talked to Tom, who admitted everything. And trigger warning again, in his confession, he talks about that they had consensual sex and then he stabbed her, which is a fucking lie. Okay? It was not consensual. I'm like, how do I say the words without saying the words here? You guys understand what I'm saying. Not consensual. And then after that, murdered her. Okay? With that wire, there was a confession. And in August of 2016, Tom Egley was arrested for the murder of Loretta Jones. In October of 2016, he was sentenced to 10 years to life for the crime, receiving 20 years. And Heidi was in the court every single day, making sure that she was strong for her mama. He died in prison March 15th of this year, so I have to show you guys this. Okay?
And the cup. And the cup.
And the cup. Yes. There it is, baby. There it is.
Talk about the pink handcuffs. Talk about the pink handcuffs.
I'm not there yet, but...
Okay, sorry.
Well, okay. Anyways, in our interview, my little voice, in our interview with Heidi, she says a quote, "As long as you have hope, you have a chance." She had hope. She had fire. She had drive and determination, and she was hurt and mad and ready to find justice for her mom. The justice she so much deserved, and she helped to do that. So now I have two more things to tell you quickly, and then I'll say some of that stuff. I don't know how long we're keeping everybody, but it is in the episode. I need to tell you that I'm so excited. So we will be having Heidi back on for an episode coming up soon. We don't have it exactly scheduled yet. We've talked about it, and it will be happening. But the reason for that, for her coming on to another episode, and it's another reason other than us just loving her, but she's going to come on to talk about Through the Keyhole, Solving the Cold Case of Loretta Jones. This is a book by author Shawnee Barnes in collaboration with Heidi Jones Asay and Devid Brewer. So we are going to have that coming up for you guys as well. And the book goes on sale when does this come out? Tomorrow? So July 20th, but I was going to say, so in 4 days from when you guys are listening to this, the book is live. If you guys are on EBooks, you can go get the book right now. You do not have to wait. But I highly encourage everyone to go read that. I actually encourage you guys to go read that and not listen to the episode anymore. Just go read it so you can hear it from her.
Do all of it because our interview with Heidi was so good, and so definitely should do all of it.
Yeah. So that's it. I feel like this episode, and Heidi, I love that you're here for this too. It really, I feel like it shaped me, if that's the corniest way of saying something ever, but having this conversation and talking to you and the fight that you have for your mom and all of this, it's crazy. I love it. I love talking to you. I love talking to you, not I love it. Look, we're back to the point where I don't know how to end things or stop talking. So now I'm rambling.
So, I think I speak for both of us when I say, we use Heidi as an example of just all the amazing things we talk about. When we talk about a cold case, when we cover a cold case, we talk about how you should never, ever give up hope and you should continue fighting, because we have seen cases. You can't see it on Instagram. I have goosebumps. We have seen cases solved after decades without DNA. And obviously, DNA has been so important to solving cold cases over the years and will continue to play a major role. But that is the fact that Heidi's mom's case that Loretta Jones was brought justice after literal decades without DNA due to Heidi's fight. She fought. She did not give up. She pushed. And this is, so whenever we talk about Heidi almost every other episode, definitely every cold case episode we talk about it, because we talk about how important it is to never give up. And so I would say that, yeah, in a big way, Heidi's story and the story of Loretta and getting justice for Loretta has definitely helped to shape who we are as a podcast and, you know, as podcasters, for sure, Rachel. I totally see it.
Here, can you hear me now, Heather?
Yeah. I was like, wait, I can't hear you.
I was agreeing with you. 100% yes. So that's it. That's, you know, we love talking about those top fives. We love talking about the fact that this is our 2-year podiversary.
So crazy.
And I have a little note right here that I never sent you that says, I gotta send you cotton because that's the 2-year. And but the funny thing is I still have the note card sitting here and I never sent it. It's just like here because why would I ever actually?
I'm gonna send you a Q-tip.
I got a couple of those. I can send that to you.
Happy 2-year.
Yeah.
We love you, Heidi. Thank you so much for being here, and congratulations again on the release of the book, and always just the amazing, like, you really are an inspiration to so many people, and it's just, we love that we have gotten to share your story, and that you it's just, yeah, you really did. You've been here since the beginning, Heidi. Pretty much.
This is Heidi's 2-year podiversary as well.
I know, it's pretty much Heidi's as well. So
yeah. No, but all of it, this entire 2 years doing it, I wanted to add a couple other just like kind of funny things as I eat my chips on the mic. They're here, guys. So it's time. I have my dip. I have my dip and my crackers. I'm ready. I'm ready to go, guys. I'm eating and talking.
It's so great.
Only
so great.
for Desi. But I did. I wanted to say that I was making that video the other day where it had like a bunch of different shots from our squad cast.
I loved that so much.
Yeah. It was awesome. And it's really funny because I was like, wait, where are all the other photos? Because we've talked and collabed with so many other people, but sometimes we just take that is my dinner. Sometimes when we do the recordings, we'll just take a picture with our phone, and so they're not on the Squadcast, and I was just saving it all from Squadcast. So, but the people that we have met along the way, both podcasters, like other podcasters and listeners or people who have followed us and just kind of been a part of this whole journey. I love it. And it just makes me like I said, like the first year was great. Loved every single second. The second year, there was just so much learning and growing and so many things we did as well for the first time. And CrimeCon. We need to get Heidi to CrimeCon with the book, too.
Heck yeah, Heidi. You need to... Yes. That's such a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in Denver. You got... I mean, it's right there. You got to go, girl. One thing I wanted to say just really quick, you know, I actually have to shout out my husband... because he kind of came up with the idea of, so I was like, okay, we're going to recap our top fives. And then he's like, okay. And then when you get to number 1, that's what you can use. You can just like do that. And I was like, oh, such a great idea. And then it took me forever to try to figure out like my top 5. I originally had like 10 written down and I was trying so hard to narrow it down. But one thing I wanted to just shout out really quickly, because I feel like it has been some of our best episodes ever. And it is Rachel's like brainchild, is the ABCs of Crime. I literally have...
I was nervous. I was like, what's it going to be?
No. So I literally have it on my notes as honorable mention for my top 5 is ABCs of Crime. And I happen to be re-listening to our last one that we did with Scott and Ryan because...
That's a funny episode.
Because voila! So I just wanted to say thank you, Rachel, so much for these 2 years for ABCs of Crime, because that is your brainchild. This whole podcast, really, Rachel, was your idea, and I just want to say thank you for bringing me on this journey with you.
Thank you for coming on this journey with me. I don't know if I would have got a mic if you didn't say yes. If you didn't say yes within the first second of me bringing it up, I probably would have been like, nah, next.
I think you still would have done it. I think it would look very different.
Yeah.
And it would probably still be super awesome, but I am glad that we got to do this together.
And we're not stopping. We're going to just keep going and going and
Forever.
going forever. I think Scott earlier said 50 years to the next 50 years.
50? How old am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's possible.
It's like Betty White podcast coming to you. Like, that's what, like, that is the vibe, dude. Like, that's what's going to happen. Why do I feel like I'm zoomed in on my face? Like,
still doing ABCs of Crime.
Yeah.
In 30 years, 50 years. Love it.
ABC
we'll be able to do like a crime from every
It's my
year.
old
It'll be
voice.
like ABCs of Crime like yearly.
Mm-hmm.
So how is that chips and dip treating you?
I'm not trying to let everyone hear me eat it, okay? Instagram can hear me.
But you have to let them know that it's good though.
It is good. So I did not make salsa. So I only have, you guys, you know the Burskin cheese dip.
That's the stuff though.
And the thin
But
wheats.
remember, is it actually Burskin?
Yeah, girl.
Didn't your mom correct us?
Yeah, because we bought the cheap shit, and she's like, you don't buy the cheap shit. You buy
No.
the Burskin."
There's no like R or something in it. How do you actually spell it?
Oh, there's no K.
There's no K. It's
We will
Burskin.
never remember.
Remember when we
Oh, I
your
forgot
mom
all
was
about
like,
that.
that's not it.
I need to step up my chip game.
You do.
Dang. Is Desi even still here? Look, where is she? That's for you. Only for you. Everyone else got the rest of the episode. And that one's only for you.
Okay, take a picture really quick, Rachel.
Picture. What do you mean?
Hold on.
Where am I looking?
Look at your phone.
Oh. Why are your eyes closed?
Are they?
Oh, you're frozen.
It's because I'm Asian. Oh, am I frozen?
You're back now.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys for being here. Oh, before I thank them, let me thank you, Heather, like you did me. You did me. Haha. Yeah, this has been amazing, and I'm so thankful for you saying yes and joining me and sticking through. I mean, we've had a lot of changes like every other day, and we still managed to make it work. So I'm very proud of us.
Yeah.
And I feel like if we can get through those 2 years, we could get through the next 2 years and the next 2 years. We're like a newly married couple just fighting through it. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But that's what it feels like
agree.
sometimes.
And this is our baby.
This is our baby. This is our, not our mother God. I was going to say, this is our daughter God. Just kidding. We're done with the Colts.
We are the mother gods.
No, I don't want to be associated with that.
Don't come to
I have my own
5D ascension thing.
I will never remember what it is. But I was going to say, I have my own bone broth cult. So I can't be a part of another cult.
We can be multiple cult members. It's totally fair.
Shoot. Left Shoe Bandit cult? Is that a cult too?
Left Shoe Bandit cult.
Just kidding. All right, that's it. Thank you guys so much for those of you guys who came and hung out with us this evening. Have so much fun listening to the exact same thing tomorrow, because this episode does go out in 1 hour. No, 4 hours, different time zones. So it'll just be ready for your guys' ears in the morning. And again, thank you guys so much for being here. We truly appreciate it when you guys take time out of your day to come and make us feel special and kind of, I love that. I love it so much. So thank you. Heather, I want to say, we never opened the episode, so can I open the episode real quick?
Do it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Like Mother, Like Murder. I was wondering what you were going to say. Two!
Give me a pod!
Pod!
Give me a versary!
What?
Versary. Pod-iversary.
Oh. Versary! I ruined it just now. I was like, give you a firstly. What is that? What does that mean? All right. Thank you guys for being here. 1,000 billion kajillion %. And we will talk to you guys tomorrow. And also on next week's episode. Until then, you guys, be amazing. Make people smile. Don't do shitty things, because that sucks. K, love you, bye.
Fair. K, love you, bye.
K, love you, bye. Aw, the K, love you, bye.